Welcome to NCIX Tech Tips. Today's episode is an NCIX PC showcase episode. This is about the Vesta 6350 OC Mark II. So this continues the bloodline of the original 6350 OC, but we've made some huge improvements to the original design. So instead of going with a Sandy Bridge processor, we've upgraded to an Ivy Bridge processor, a 3770K pre-overclocked to 4.2 gigahertz. Remember, that's 4 cores, 8 threads at 4.2 gigahertz. We've also added the latest GeForce GTX 670. This is a pre-overclocked model from MSI that actually runs when it's using GPU boost at over 1 gigahertz. So this is pretty much as fast as it gets for a gaming rig these days without going super unreasonable and going for the very highest tier components like LGA 2011 and the GTX 680 or 690. This is pretty much the best bang for your buck for still what is a very enthusiast level, premium level gaming rig. Now, if you've seen the unboxing on my video blog, you probably know how highly I regard the Antec 1100, and that's one of the reasons that we went with this particular case for the system. So you can see here at the front, there's two 120mm LED fans that are pulling air in through a very, very open mesh design. So there's plenty of room for airflow to get in through the front of the case. There's also optional spots for up to two 120mm fans on the side panel, a 200mm fan on the top panel, and this is a unique design choice that Antec's made with this case. On the opposite side panel, check this out. There is also an opening where you can install a fan or not install a fan that is meant to provide additional cooling to the back of the motherboard. Some modern motherboards actually do mount components on the back, and even if they don't, you can still get a little bit of extra cooling for the area around your CPU socket by using that. Last but not least, there's a 120mm fan slot in the back that we're using for the Antec Cooler 920 liquid cooling unit that is included with this machine. I/O in the front is fairly standard fare, so we've got headphones, microphone, two USB 2 ports, and two USB 3 ports, and I/O in the back of the case is, once again, pretty standard fare, what you'd expect from a pretty high-end motherboard. So we've got 4 USB 2.0, HDMI, optical audio out, 2 USB 3.0, DVI, VGA, and HDMI video out, as well as 7.1 audio out. Remember, this is a GTX 670, so you can power up to 3 monitors, plus a 4th auxiliary one for surround gaming. Now let's open her up to see one of the other reasons why the Antec 1100 is a fantastic choice for a gaming machine. So check out how clean the internals look in this build. There is a ton of room in the back. This is a very well-designed chassis. It actually uses the same basic shell as the P280, and there is just shed loads of room behind the motherboard tray for routing all the cables, which means that our PC team can make it pretty much as tidy as it gets, no matter how much hardware they're cramming in here. So you can see that this build is not only optimized for everything that's in here now, but it's actually capable of powering significantly more. So the Antec High Current Pro, which by the way is using this cool little filtered fan thingamajiggy that the 1100 has to make sure that it's constantly being filtered and not contributing to the heat accumulation in your case, is capable of powering not only this overclocked Ivy Bridge CPU, but also dual GTX 670. So if you wanted to add another one in SLI, you could totally do that. For the rest of the internals, here we go. So here's the Cooler 920, which is a thick 120mm rad with sandwich 120mm fans, meaning you get pretty much as much cooling as you can get in as small an area as possible with that. It also comes with customizable software for optimizing the performance of the Cooler 920. We've also got 16 gigs of Mushkin Blackline memory, as well as an MSI Z77A GD65 board. One of the cool features of this board is OC Genie 2, which allows you to, with the touch of a button, overclock. So if you're buying this PC, it might not matter to you that much because we're going to take care of overclocking for you. But if you're just buying the board standalone, hey, you might care about that. With an MSI overclocked graphics card, I mentioned before, you're going to get slightly more performance than you get from a reference card without any additional hassle or fuss or muss. And then for the rest of the config, this is really important. We've gone with a Mushkin Kronos 120 gig drive in this special little 2.5-inch SSD mount here. The Kronos is an outstanding value per dollar SSD and is part of what allows us to hit the $18.99 price point that we're doing with this system. Last but not least, our storage drive is actually taken care of by Seagate, and this is a 2 terabyte, 7200 RPM SATA 3 drive. So basically, if you were waiting for a well-balanced gaming machine that uses Ivy Bridge as well as the latest GTX 670 graphics card, this is pretty much it. For less than 2 Gs, you're not going to do a whole lot better. Now, here's a cool quirk of this particular system. Watch this, you guys. These are NCIX accent lights. So these are LED strips that can be used for internal lighting. Now, you saw we had them plugged in from the back. Or you can actually take them out of where we're running them. They're zip tied in right now, so I'm not going to try too hard to move them around. But you can take them out, and you can use them as accent lighting for the back of your keyboard, or as like underglow for your case, if you see fit. You actually have that option. That's going to come by default on this system, so you can throw these LED lights wherever you want. You can even sit in front of your gaming machine and put them on your head just like this if you desire to do so. So thanks for checking out this NCIX PC episode of NCIX Tech Tips, and don't forget to subscribe.